It looks like they have a new TV, Apple TV. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, Ben, you wrote this up, right?
Yes, sir. Apple seems to be looking at the do everything smart TV space, and they made a big jump, a big step in that direction with the new Apple TV, going with I guess now a generation old SoC with the A8, but still
huge
something
upgrade.
That's just ridiculous compared to. I've got a couple of the previous generation based on A5, and those things are I think they're gone now. Aside from they'll still sell them, but that's a big step up. The remote is really interesting. It's connecting by Bluetooth. It has a glass touch surface for like gesture control. It's apparently got motion sensors built in because they showed off some gaming applications from Harmonix with that Beat Sports game, kind of baseball rhythm kind of thing. Swinging the remote. It actually took me back to 2006, and it's like Wii Sports all over again.
Yeah, it's just a little weird, but I don't know. Maybe it's time for that fad to roll back in, and we can play some Harmonix games and just feel like it's 10 years ago all over again.
Yeah, all we're missing is there's a microphone built into the remote. So if you want your rock band set up, get out the plastic guitars. Let's go.
I think people have been expecting Apple to do something more serious in the living room for a long time. And what we got from them was in some ways a lot like Android TV, Ben.
Yes,
you looked at the Shield, right?
Right.
Which is NVIDIA's version of an Android TV device. And I saw similar things. I saw the same apps from HBO and Netflix and all these different providers. I saw voice commands in their demo, which was a lot like the Android TV stuff with the Google Now voice commands, right?
Yeah, watching that demo, a lot of it was at least sort of similar to Google's voice search on Android TV. The big thing is the big difference is the context sensitive voice stuff. It was a really slick demo, and I know it was a demo, but it worked. No, I want some action movies. Okay, now show me the Bond movies and show me just the ones with Sean Connery or whatever. Just to say I'm going to use these vague pronouns, which I know you're not a big fan of.
This man's been edited by the Tech Report staff. You can tell.
But the idea that Siri can deal with vague human language, I tried that on the Shield, and I was completely unsuccessful. I told it to find, I walked through that same demo, and it was returning Google search results for weird phrases, and actually returning articles about Apple TV because I did the same demo. So Google's voice search is not to that point right now where Apple showed it, and that could be a big deal.
That's weird to hear you say that, because my sense is in phones that Google's voice search is substantially better than Siri. And honestly, I'm not all that excited about voice search. I don't spend a lot of time with it. But Google's really good with search.
Yeah.
and they seem to do a reasonable job with natural language in some of their other products. So I don't know. I'm curious to see. The idea here that the future of TV is apps, I think was interesting. It was kind of a big deal. I have a few thoughts on that. So Ben, one of the things that they showed here was they said that you could search, or you could look for content and see all the different providers. So the Netflixes, the Google Plays, HBOs, whoever has it available, you can see them with the same view, same integration all at once.
Yes.
And that's somewhat distinctive, right?
So far, like on Android TV, I don't get back Netflix results in particular, which is a little disappointing because if you subscribe to that service, instead of bringing you to something you're already paying for, and that show is available or that movie is available, instead of showing you what you're already subscribed to, it's bringing back, Google Play movies or TV results for you could go out and buy it again. And that was a turnoff for me, just because it felt like it was a marketing tool. What I've come to understand since then is that no, these other providers just never allowed that before, and now this is something special that Apple has worked out.
Yeah.
And it would be really nice if consumers could win here, and maybe Netflix and whoever else play ball with Google to give that same sort of aggregated search results. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, Apple has used its clout to move the ball the right way, and that was clearly a political limitation of Android TV to date. And I think the hope is that everybody will get that, or at least multiple services will get the ability to aggregate stuff. Having said that, I think Amazon is just not part of either one of these, right?
As far as I know, no. Amazon is part of Amazon, and if you're not part of Amazon, you can just take off.
Yeah. So that's a little unfortunate, but it does seem like an interesting sort of pain point in all this stuff. Is you put a box, you connect a box to your TV, you access content, but there are silos of content and you can't get them all. And hopefully, it looks like Apple's got a pretty good start on several of them, but I don't know whether or not this gets to be worked out well.
Now we're going back to the same pain point that Android TV had, where developers have to get on board and create apps. Apple has a really good history with an app store, and developers have really good iOS apps, like at least the big ones, like Netflix and whatnot. So the hope is that they'll just be able to dive right in. They're using the same development tools supposedly with Xcode and whatnot. So that's the hope, is that we're not going to have two immature platforms with big gaping holes in their app ecosystem.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about this too, because there's a weird sort of thing going on here with gaming. They say they're doing gaming, and I guess that they didn't talk about this at all, but I guess the box is compatible with some standard for like controllers.
Yeah,
but there's no standard Apple controller other than the remote.
No, Apple doesn't. Apple doesn't make any game controllers at all, and they're just boxing this with the remote. But I understand it the same way you do. If you have like an MFI made for iPhone controller, then it should be supposedly. Apple is advertising that it will be compatible with the Apple TV. And my concern is that developers aren't going to have to do anything special, because if they do, then you're going to wind up with segregated. These apps don't respond to the controller at all. These apps do. These apps only work with an iPhone for a second controller, kind of like the Crossy Road and I already forgot the name of Harmonix's game.
Right.
They showed those with multiplayer with an iOS device. Well, not everybody has those either. They want to get you into one ecosystem and lock you in. But that's true of Google also, and that's true of Amazon and anybody else.
Yeah, it kind of is. So yeah, it's a little weird to think that they're gonna use that little touch area on the remote and whatever buttons to deliver a gaming platform. It's credible in every other way, right? I mean, they have the App Store, they have the Approach, they have tons of things, and a lot of this can be ported from iOS. And I guess this is iOS. under the covers, but it's actually called tvOS, right? Which
Right.
is just that offshoot that is, because the interface is so different. It has to be built for sitting back on the couch away from something and using a remote.
Yeah, the interface looked a lot like the existing Apple TV interface with just a grid, which is really easy to navigate with the little silver remote. So I'm hopeful that this won't be a big stretch.
And what's the cost?
There are two models. The entry level has 32 gigs of storage, and it'll be $149. And the higher end model will have 64 gigs for $199, which matches the entry level Shield, at least on a price perspective.
Yeah. The NVIDIA Shield is different in the sense that, well, it's Android TV, but it's a premium Android TV, comes with a game controller, and is built around sort of NVIDIA's game streaming and optimized Android games that, with their own special content. And already NVIDIA is inviting comparisons, I guess, with the Apple TV. I'm not sure that would be the best game to play. Here's the other thing is it really Android, Google, and partners like NVIDIA and Asus and whoever makes Android TVs versus Apple, or is it Google and friends versus Apple versus Microsoft and Sony?
Yeah,
right?
and versus Amazon, because they've built it on, and they've built the Fire stuff on Android, but they've shut it off, and it's strictly their own app store and such. So aside from borrowing AOSP, it's that seems to be its own ecosystem as well. So there's a lot of people, or not people, a lot of companies that are lining up to compete for your living room dollars.
Yeah, and it's Google and Apple are giants, and they are very sort of media-centric, UI-centric. Both are doing similar things with the voice search and all that. And then you've got Microsoft and Sony. The primary reason you put that device in the living room is probably gaming. And then, Microsoft has got a lot of similar voice control and things like that they're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to my TV, though. It makes me feel really dumb.
Yeah, I wonder about that, because I don't like that either. And the question is, everybody's doing it. Are they expecting, are we just all, we're going to adapt, or we're too old and our grandkids will do it years from now and we'll be like, what the heck? Or is it the case that this is popular for reasons that aren't going to fly with the public, like 3D TVs? We're all going to sit there wearing glasses, right?
Well, there are, companies want to set themselves apart in some way, and so right now they're doing it with voice search. I don't know if people really use it. A quick poll in my house is no, but we're all fogies, so.
Yeah.